Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. So here we are in the last week of 2020. And my son, Tim, my videographer, and I thought that rather than have a week of more composers, we've now done more than 180 of them this year, I would talk about some topics that I think are of a special interest for people like me, for conductors, and hopefully for you. And today I thought I would talk a bit about program planning. You know, one of the things that I am always very insistent about is that we think carefully, what is it that people want to hear in terms of a sequence, so that we're not just doing the same piece over and over again, grabbing a piece of music out of the file. I'm going to especially talk today about the music at Plymouth Church, because there I have to come up with choral music for 52 Sundays of the year. And my goal, of course, is that I have to think about this in advance. I can't just do it at the last second. But I want to look at what are the things that people are hoping for, and what are the things that a choir would like to know, so that they remain interested in what's happening in music. So for instance, of course, in church music, there are liturgical traditions. And that means that there are times in the year, like the Christmas season, the Easter season, when you want to have specific pieces that fit those seasons. One time at Vocal Essence, I did think, and this was not a good idea, I did think one Christmas that people didn't want to hear Christmas music all the time. They do. And so I chose a piece of music one Christmas that we would do by Honegger called Joan of Arc at the Stake. And I thought it's a great piece for choir, soloists, orchestra. And so we performed it at Orchestra Hall. And so I'm sure people thought, oh, I wonder how this piece fits the Christmas season. Well, it doesn't. We performed it. People said, oh, this was wonderful, but why did you do that in December? And my favorite comment that Phyllis Sutton came up with afterward, she told her husband, I don't know what this had to do with Christmas, except maybe because Joan of Arc at the Stake was the connection with burning the Yule log. Other than that, I don't see it. Well, I didn't do that again. But the fact is, we do have to think about certain times of the year. We also have to think about, say, Thanksgiving time, certainly around Martin Luther King Day. We want to think about him. There's many different things that go on in terms of the church year. Growing up, my father was a minister, not a musician. He would have probably, I'm guessing, 10 or 12 hymns that he knew. And so those hymns kept revolving in the service. So if you sang, Holy, 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 you might sing that again in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and he wouldn't really be aware that he had just sung it 2 weeks before. And other hymns. Well, that's something that I really didn't want to have happen for me at Plymouth Church, because there are such a huge, wonderful variety of great hymns that I'm hoping that the congregation will have an opportunity to sing many of these hymns. Now, obviously, some are more of a favorite than others. But if you have one that seems to work, of course you want to bring it back, but maybe not the next week. Egil Hovland, the Norwegian composer, wrote a wonderful hymn. Gathered in God's Presence, that he wrote for the Olympic Games in the 90s when it was held in Norway. And people love that. And oh, let's sing that again. And I bring it back, but not every week in a row. So certain hymns have that. And then you have to think about, in the course of a service, the opening hymn needs to be something to get people going, now I can sing. It shouldn't be something that is too slow. It needs to have some energy to get them going. That's why, a hymn like Praise My Soul, the God of Heaven, gets people going. So you need to find that one, but in the middle of the service, something perhaps a little more contemplative might be useful. There's another Egil Hovland hymn, etc. And then you have a closing hymn, which is usually more rigorous. 200 years ago, things were pitched higher than they are now. And so if you were to have a hymn that might go up high, let's just say you were going to sing something like, in that key, when it goes, there are a number of people who would give up or just take it down an octave. But so maybe that's not a good key to put it in. But what if you instead played it in F? Then people could go, and that only takes you to, which is possible for most people. So finding the right key, and I often on a Sunday morning, because I am also aware that except for Sunday service, most people don't sing at another time during the week. Not like it was 100 years ago, gathered around the piano or the pump organ at home, singing old folk songs. So I often will start something a little bit lower and then modulate so that I might do, let's say, I might start here, and at the end of the first verse, I might modulate up and go. And then we are there. And I might even, if I think they're ready for it, I might even take them up one more, And we go there. Depends on the hymn, depends on the Sunday, how it all works. I'm also a big believer in checking out anniversaries. And I find that in each year, there are certain people, they have a birthday, we should remember it. I was looking ahead, and certainly in 2021, we're going to have some significant anniversaries. And so in January, one of the weeks, I'm going to have us look back on some of the composers who have a significant anniversary. Burley, Dupre, Saint-Saëns, Stenhammar, and the 70th birthday of Libby Larsen. So there are some wonderful opportunities that you can celebrate their music, and it kind of gives you a little niche that you can think about. Certainly with the Plymouth Church Choir, what I have done is I give them in January a list of what they're going to be singing each Sunday through, say, May, and then another list later. Now, of course, I can change it. If one of them, we need to come up with something special for a special day that happens. But in general, they then see a list, and they will also know that I try very hard that in the course of a year, music that they sing will run the gamut from Renaissance right up to the year 2020. And I find that the congregation loves the fact of that diversity and that variety as well. And it's great for me because I'm also thinking about how to make it work. One of the other things that I love to do, and I've done this now for many years, if I know the composer is still alive, even if I don't know an address, I will send a copy of the program from Vocal Essence or a bulletin from Plymouth Church to the composer. And I can't tell you how thrilled composers are to know that their music was performed. They love it, and I often get an answer back of thanks. And sometimes it's like, I've got another piece if you're interested in my music. So one of the things that happens with programming is that you also have to think about keys. This would be especially true for vocal lessons. You don't want to have a concert. Let's say there are 12 pieces, and the first piece is in A flat. Oh, that's fine. And the second piece is in A flat. And the third piece, oh, here's an idea, A flat. And maybe you weren't thinking that as you were programming, but the audience after a while thinks, they may not instantly know that it's A flat for each of these, but they begin to think, I feel like we're in a kind of similar relationship. We haven't left. But how much more interesting it would be if the first piece was here, perhaps the second one was here, the third one might be here, and maybe the fourth one, hey, back to A flat. So you can use them. You just want to be a little more creative in what order you put those keys together. So the whole idea of choral repertoire is a marvelous thing for me, for my choirs, and hopefully for all of you as listeners. And I look forward, once this pandemic is past us, to return to something more of a normal creative process that we have had in the past and we will have in the future in 2021. Have a wonderful day.